Hey everyone, this is LocalALists, Tulsa's premier podcast, where we're going to be interviewing top performers here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm Stephen Morales.
And I'm James Pesh.
And enjoy the show. Do we want to say anything else?
I think that's it.
Hey guys, this is LocalALists, and I'm Stephen Morales, and
James Pesh.
And today we have our first guest, and it's a good one. We have Brad Johnson, who is a retired pro strongman, and he was on The Last One Standing, which was a BBC show, and then it aired on the Discovery show also. Welcome, Brad. Thanks for coming and doing this with us.
Thank you for having me, man.
So today we're going to be covering the topic of motivation and what motivates people. But before we get into that, I did want to get kind of into your background, because that two things right there is just two small things that you do. I know you started Metamorphosis Tribe, which we're going to talk about also. But what's your history? What got you into strongman stuff, The Last One Standing, all of that?
Right on. Well, formerly from Charleston, South Carolina, moved to Bartlesville, Oklahoma, transitioned to Tulsa. And basically, man, I utilize my strength as my strength. So I've always been fast, always been strong, always had gym knowledge, and been able to convert that into a career. And in high school, I was definitely stronger and faster than everyone else, but never learned how to tap into my true potential because the coaches around me, they sucked. I mean, bottom line.
Yeah.
I felt at the time I had more knowledge than they did. And even while I'd called them out on some of the things we were doing, they're like, yeah, but it seems like it would work. And I'm like, well, this kind of bites. You know, if I have the opportunity in the future to be able to step out there and influence kids, this is what I would do.
This was in South Carolina, or this is when you moved to Bartlesville?
This is when I moved to Bartlesville.
Okay.
So graduated from Bartlesville.
Mm-hmm.
And with that knowledge, just kind of always looked into the gym realm because I was good at it. So, of course, you want to gravitate toward what you're good at. Started doing powerlifting. Got bored within 3 years of doing powerlifting because I won every competition.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just one of those. We do three of the same lifts. I'm doing better every competition, but I'm not meeting anyone that can challenge me. And I have a big thing about overcoming challenges. And if I don't feel like I'm being challenged, then I'm bored.
Yes.
So the Oklahoma Strongman was coming up. So a friend challenged me to do it. Game on. Trained a little bit, had no idea what the hell I was getting into, went to the competition, dominated. I was like, this is cool. 5 different events, have no idea what I'm doing, cool people around me, which is kind of not the powerlifting realm per se.
Yeah, was that a huge transition going from powerlifting to strongman?
Yeah, huge. And what people typically don't understand is powerlifting is I'm going to bench press, I'm going to squat, I'm a deadlift. I get 3 attempts at each one of those to do my maximum exertion. Strongman is there's typically 5 events. All 5 of them are totally different.
Yeah.
And it can be for reps. It can be for time. So how many times can you pick that up? Or how fast can you pick that up and carry it to another place? So it was totally athleticism versus pure strength.
Endurance, speed, strength, everything.
Loved it.
Yeah. And if anybody doesn't know exactly what we're talking about, whenever you see Brad, we're going to have a picture of Brad pulling a train on Facebook. And so you'll know that this is not anybody blowing smoke up anybody's ass. This is legit. This guy is definitely a strongman.
And that's a point, too, because sometimes I feel like, I know this pro strongman. And like, okay. I thought the same thing when somebody told me that they knew you. They was like, yeah, he works at the Oklahoma State University Medicine School. I was like, okay, well, people say that. Like, people say, yeah, I'm a strong man, and that doesn't mean anything. And then I met you, and you're like, no, I'm pro. And I was like, yeah, no, that's legit.
Yeah, that's what I do.
For sure.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. And people also get strong man and tough man confused.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, you get in the ring. I'm like, no, I don't fight.
Yeah.
Well, what do? I pick things up. That stupid commercial. I pick things up, I put them down.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
So that's not me, but anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so doing my strongman thing, went to Dallas, competed there, did phenomenal. Never touched implements before. Was asked to go to St. Louis and compete, and they're like, if you win this competition, you turn pro. Very few people compete in a first year and turn pro. I'm like, game on. This is from the president of Strongman. You're personally inviting me to come to St. Louis.
What year was this?
Who knows?
You don't know. Early 2000s?
I'm bad with time.
Yeah.
I don't
Several
remember
years
last
ago.
week. Yeah, very, very.
Okay.
So I'd put it back 11,
Okay.
12 years ago.
Okay.
Now hold on, because we talked about this at one point. Was this the episode they were following another strongman guy that was trying to turn pro on MTV, who did turn pro, and you were on the show? He was in the background. Yes.
Yeah.
He was in the background, competing also in the lightweight. But was that guy a heavyweight?
Kevin. I don't remember what Kevin was.
Because I know he's tall, man.
He was a lightweight at that time.
Really?
What separates the classes? Like, what's the weight category?
231 and under, 232 and above.
Okay, so it's just two categories.
Right.
Lightweight, heavyweight.
And that's what's beautiful about strongman. It's typically 5 events: lightweight, heavyweight. There's no masters, juniors.
Right.
There's no 15 different divisions, and you're guaranteed to win first if there's only 8 people there.
Right.
I mean, it's you battling against the dude who's close to your weight, and he can be 120 pounds or he can be 236 and dieted down. I typically sat at like 245 and I dieted down.
Oh, so you went down under the 232?
I hit right at I'm 231.2.
Nice.
Every time.
Every time.
Yeah. Totally nude.
Okay.
Every time.
Yeah.
On time.
Of course.
Done.
That's awesome. And everybody has to lift the same amount of weight for every challenge. Like, it doesn't matter if they don't do it based off percentages or anything like that.
Challenge is set.
Yeah.
Go.
Okay.
Heavyweights and lightweights, of course, there's a little bit of a weight difference between the implements that you're handling during the competition. But all in all, pound for pound, lightweights are handling a lot of weight compared to what the heavyweights are handling.
Okay.
But they love to have that crowd illusion of, look how big the heavyweights are. So the heavyweights kind of were the spotlight.
I gotcha.
So professional lightweight started around the time that I started competing.
Okay.
And they just made that a professional category the first year that I was competing.
Okay.
So I'm in St. Louis and I get my ass handed to me.
Really?
I walk in there thinking I'm turning pro.
I've never missed a
And I mean, I'm
mark.
the king of powerlifting.
Yeah, I've done awesome
touches
everywhere.
me. I killed the last 2 strongman competitions. Game on, let's make something happen.
Right.
And then I seen one of the biggest dudes I've ever seen walk through the door, and not just like bodybuilder muscular. This is corn fed. I throw hay.
Yeah.
Not bales, but rounds for a living. I mean, cat just thunder walked through the door.
Was that picture that we actually posted one of you, and it's you next to like 4 dudes who are all like 6'7".
Those are the heavyweights.
Yeah.
Yes. Those are the cats.
We'll get a hold of that
against.
picture and put that up too, just
there
to give
go.
a gauge, because those guys are just, as far as how tall they are, is massive.
Right. So the height plus the size on top of it. And they're calling me little guy. And I love talking trash during a competition. I love a challenge, and I love pissing people off, because the better they do, the fiercer I get, the more I want to come back and show what I can do.
Yeah, competition drives you.
Exactly.
And that's not the case with everybody. And there's a lot of people that whenever it gets heated, and they can be top performers, but then
they'll back down.
Vince Young.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just like absolutely incredible at the University of Texas. He goes pro and it's just like falls apart. Yeah, just horrible. Yeah. So there are people that whenever that they do excel, they excel, and then whenever that conflict comes, they just kind of collapse.
I mean, that's on the topic of the podcast as far as motivation. I mean, some people, that is not a motivator. Like, they get to that point, as soon as that goes in there, they either buckle under the pressure, or it's not an interest to them, so they just stop. They just give up for whatever reason.
Right. And I know we're going to go into that later, but there's actually an experiment that I do with the kids that I work with, where it's to find out what drives you. What motivations influence you? How do they influence you? And can you get something positive out of negative feedback? And if you do, put negative people around you. If you don't receive that well, then put positive people around you and keep all those type of people away from you.
Yeah.
Wow, that's I've never heard that before.
I haven't heard you talk about this yet, so I'm excited about that.
On.
Yeah.
I mean, I really want to hear a lot about how your work with kids, but I honestly, I've never heard anyone say that there could be people that are motivated by negativity.
Right.
Or conflict.
I have to have someone around me to doubt me.
That's
in order to create who I am.
You know, and it makes sense, but it's so against the grain.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people that you've heard over and over again. You're going to be like the people that you associate with, the people that you're around, different things like that. And there are some aspects to whenever there's negativity around you, it kind of does bring you to this, like, I'll tell you, most of the things I've accomplished in my life, I've accomplished from trying to prove someone wrong.
There it is.
Yep. Same thing.
It's power.
Yeah.
And I know that comes like as counter, because I don't necessarily think a lot of psychologists might think that that's a healthy
thing. Yeah, they'll tell you
motivator.
it's unhealthy, but it works.
It does work. It produces results.
thing,
and if it produces positive results,
then how can you do wrong?
how can that necessarily be a negative thing?
Exactly.
So yeah, we'll get more into that in a little bit. So you go to St. Louis, you compete, you got destroyed.
Smashed. I got second from last.
Wow.
Oh,
so what
ouch.
happens
Talking
next?
about an ego check.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I'm talking.
How did the guy in last place
dudes.
feel?
He wasn't very fit. He was a good 360 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was the smallest dude there by far. And I'm rocking a solid 245, possibly. You know, that whole.
And this was before they had the lightweight class, or they?
before.
Okay.
And it was just a straight open. It
Right.
was open.
Yeah.
Professional level.
I
Now,
gotcha.
if you compete as an amateur, it's lightweight, heavyweight. But at the time, it was strictly professional heavyweight. But they just called it professional.
Right.
So with that, I got excited.
Mm.
I'm like, I finally lost.
The challenge.
Yes. I'm like, this is great. I got ate up with it. So
Oh,
I still
yeah.
didn't have the equipment to train with. I still really didn't have too many competitions around me.
Mm-hmm.
So I came back and I started training and really started trying to emulate the competitions, the events best as possible.
Yeah.
But you can't really do it unless you have the equipment. So
Which is
even-
expensive, by the way.
So what did the training look like for you?
It was horrible. Like,
Okay.
hey, farmer's walk. Let me grab 2 dumbbells that were heavy and just walk with it.
Yeah, for as far and as long as you
You
can.
know, at the gym I was at, maybe 90 pounds was the heaviest. And at
Right.
the competition, it's going to break down to 300 per hand.
Right.
So there's no real
Yeah.
preparation for that.
Yeah.
You know, how do I hold myself? How do I walk?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that was amazing is I'm going against all these dudes who have been in the game for a minute. And I show up and they're like, never seen you before. I'm like, never competed before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, how do you do this event? And Travis Ortmeyer in Texas walked up, and it was the Stones. It was the last event. He's like, dude, you're rocking. You're doing a great job. And I'm like, appreciate it. Hey, I've never done Stones before. He's like, well, I'm actually pretty good at it. Let me show you how to do it.
He's one of the top guys, by the way,
He
at
is
Stone.
the #1 stone loader in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
No one can touch him.
Okay.
He was really modest when he told me, yeah, I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
good.
Shows me how to do it. I do it, and I get like second at Stones at that
Oh, wow.
competition. And then he's like, you seriously have never touched it? I'm like, I've never touched any of this shit.
Wow.
And the thing is I'm competing against these cats, and they're teaching me how to do the competition, how to do each
that's cool.
individual event.
Yeah.
And it was, well, this is how I do it. And then they would get in an argument. Don't do it like him. He's a dumbass. Do it like this. This is how I do it.
He never places in this. Don't worry about
he
that.
sucks. You'll realize he's not very good, but I kill it. This is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good. And then, messed around with him at the competition because I'm still trying to raise tension between all of us and still have a good time and still perform at the peak level. And it just turned into a passion. And I ended up meeting a really cool cat here in town, Ryan Myers in Tulsa. Me and him trained for a while together. We made it to pro nationals as professional lightweights. I pulled off third at that. So at one time, I was #3 in the U.S. of lightweight competitors.
That's awesome.
From that point, WWE got a hold of me. They wanted me to come out and audition. So I was on Tough
Didn't know
Enough.
that either.
Yeah, they didn't like my personality.
Really?
They're like, you look phenomenal. I'm like, I pride myself on performing better than I look.
Right.
So tell me about yourself. I'm like, yeah, I'm Brad.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm Brad. They're
They wanted you to like scream and yell.
straight go into character.
Yeah.
And the whole time they're like, we want you to be you. I'm like, this is me. I'm chill.
yeah.
I'm relaxed. I make things happen, put a challenge in front of me, and I'll dominate.
Yeah.
They had these obstacles set up for us to go out and prove how strong we were, how fast we were. Everything they had me do, or the group do, I came in top 10 every time. So untouchable. I'm like, I got this.
I'm surprised they didn't just try and pass you off as like the quiet, silent guy or something like
You know,
that,
I've
or like
thought
a
of
dark character or something like that.
Yeah. After
They have
fact-
those, right?
Yeah.
After the
Like
fact, it was one of
Undertaker doesn't
those-
even talk.
Right. I was like, well, man, if you really wanted me to go in a character, I could do like not the stereotypical high black dude, but I'm just happy and I'm cool. I'm relaxed. I'm an island cat kind of.
Yeah.
And then when you really get me shitty, like the Incredible Hulk, I'll fall on the ground. I'll put some foam in my mouth and come up. Who woken me?
Yeah.
Who everyone must die.
Right. Yeah.
And just slaughter everybody in front of me. Good guy, bad guy,
Yeah.
whatever's clever. But luckily, I didn't get picked up because BBC put out that they wanted to do a show where it involved tribal games, and they wanted characters. So they wanted a strongman to be a character. So they contacted the American Strongman Federation, and then the president directly contacted 5 people and said, this is something that's coming up. I don't want any dumbass to represent us.
Right.
So I'm broadcasting it to all the strongman realm, but I'm personally inviting you guys to send in a resume. So with that request, I sent it in and got flown out to New York and did a 2-day audition. It was brutal. One of the trick questions, because it was a good 45-minute sit-down interview, how do you handle the camera, your voice, your charisma, blah, blah, blah. The one that sticks out the most is if you're in a tribe and in order to have the rite of passage to compete in a competition, they must pierce your dick with a bird beak. Would you do it?
What?
Hey.
No.
What was the answer?
So I came back with another question.
Yeah.
First, how big is the beak?
Right.
Because I got to know what size.
Sure.
Size. And will I be doing it myself, or do I have assistance?
Right.
Because if it's like the tribal
guy that's done this 100 times.
Exactly. He can do it in his sleep, and it's a sterile beak, and it's not too big.
Yeah.
Let's make things happen. You know, I'm
nice. Nice.
How many people can really, truly say, I went to a tribe and got my dick pierced?
Right. Yeah.
These crazy games.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you're kind of stupid, bro. I think this might work for you.
I think this might be good.
Yeah.
And then,
because I'm sure everybody else was like, no, not doing that.
Oh, yeah, indeed.
Not
You're
doing
like,
that. Yeah.
Are you serious right now? You know, when it really came down to it, yeah, pass.
Yeah.
Right.
But, you know, I thought about it, and I entertained the idea. And then they took us to this 3-hour boot camp, like a 6-story floor of this abandoned warehouse building. And this bad chick, brunette hair, fatigue, bikini top on, before yoga shorts were in style, wearing these boy hot shorts, fatigue, and combat boots. 20 dudes, and she's commanding us all to do everything she wants us to do for 3 hours.
Wow.
Beat us down.
Really?
And the whole time I'm like, this is amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
This has never happened in my life.
Yeah.
This is maybe the
Good
greatest
times.
thing
Yeah,
ever.
indeed. Until 2 hours and 45 minutes into it, my hamstring locks up on me.
Oh, no.
Laying on the ground, holding it. What
Had that
the hell
happen
is
to me.
going on with me right now? And then she just straight straddles me and starts massaging my hamstring out and trying to stretch it out, and was like, it's okay, it's okay. I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's
Yeah.
No, you got to keep working
not.
it.
Yeah, you need to go right now. I need to finish the challenge.
Yeah.
You know, so I get up and I hobble over, get against the wall, finish what we're doing. And I think that's what really got me accepted into
Was pushing
Last
through
Man
that.
Standing. Right.
Oh, that's awesome.
So with that, they picked me up, and the rest is history. Got to travel with 5 other really cool dudes. Total, it was 3 Americans, 3 Brits. And we really went to indigenous tribes and lived as the tribal members.
I'm actually excited that we're here because I saw a clip today. It was not easy to find, but I did find one from whenever you did Mongolian wrestling.
Oh, right on.
And there was a scene where you guys had to hold down a lamb.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever the guy went in and disconnected the main artery from the heart while the lamb was alive. And the poor British guy was like not having it.
Yeah, he was.
That guy was about to cry.
No, he did.
Did he cry?
He did, and he left.
Oh, that poor guy. I watched it and I was like, and you said something that was just classic. You go, are you for real right now?
Yeah.
Like I just started laughing so hard because, and then after that you were like, you know what? I kind of expected it to bother me more than it did.
Yeah.
You were like, I eat a lot of meat.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, know
If you
where your
can't
food comes
appreciate
from.
Where the source comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was crazy because we flipped it over and we were kind of doing this ceremonial thing.
Yeah, he had a whole ceremony involved.
And have absolutely no idea what's about to happen.
Right.
And he just takes his knife, his dull knife, I might add, and then cuts right down at the bottom of the sternum.
Oh my gosh.
Just below where the rib cage comes together.
Yeah.
And just about 6-inch slit. And then reaches his hand directly into the incision. And you're like, what is happening?
Right. This thing's still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Flipped
wow.
over in its back. Yeah. Detail missed. Alive. Flip it over in its back. Cuts the slit. and just below the sternum, sticks his hand in, and then he does this rotation movement, and then he just goes, ha, ha.
Yeah, he just stepped back and was like,
what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And the stomach came out of the incision, and every time it was breathing, the stomach was blowing up out of the incision.
Oh my!
And I'm still sitting there looking at it, going, "What? Is going down right now?" And then he's like, "Oh, kaput, done." Like,
okay.
Now what are we doing? And now he cuts into it, and he's showing us how to do it.
He started like scooping the blood out by the rib cage, all sorts of stuff, and it was fascinating just to watch it for that. Like, I didn't even get into the whole wrestling part because they didn't even show very much of you wrestling. But the little uniforms were pretty interesting. Yeah.
We crushed a lot of feelings on that show. Because when they introduced what our uniforms were, so to speak, it was pretty much like hot pink panties. And a long sleeve shirt that is open chested.
Missing the shirt.
I didn't. Yeah,
so only had the sleeves.
Right.
Well, and they have pictures, so we'll try and get into a picture of that too, because there's pictures of you guys all together in that get up.
Did you actually wrestle any of those guys?
Yeah.
Because they didn't show that a lot. They showed the British guys wrestling quite a bit.
There was one, and I can't remember if it was that or another one where you guys like are backed up and you actually like almost spear each other. And I can't remember if you got on top of him. Like you shoved this dude like into the ground pretty quick.
Yeah, that's the only thing I know how to do from football.
Yeah, right. It was just like a wham, and he's like, but you towered over this dude. I think they brought in one of their bigger guys, and he wasn't even that big.
In Mongolia, they had some pretty.
Like I said, I don't know if it was there or
if
it was a different tribe.
There's Nagaland, India, and everybody there seemed like skinny midgets.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it was bad, and we were doing kick fighting there.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That looked pretty brutal.
Oh yeah, it was. They're badasses. I mean, everywhere we went, I have so much respect for people who live off the land because they are so much harder.
They are, right?
Any of us that are walking the streets today.
Oh, I watched just that scene where you did that, and I was like, I'm out. Yeah. I mean, and I grew up in the Texas Panhandle. Like I was hunting and fishing from a really young age, and yet now I am domesticated. I don't want any part of any of that. Like I'm just like, I'm good going to the supermarket and buying my stuff. I know how to do it, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
But watching that, it kind of brought me back, and I was just like, man, we are so in the United States, like our society is so domesticated,
cushy.
Indeed. Yeah,
very cushy.
And the thing about like the goat getting the whole ceremony was like, this is a sacred animal to us,
right?
And this is going to provide.
Oh, he wasn't taking that lightly,
right?
You can tell.
Not a drop of blood was wasted.
Yeah,
not a drop of blood was left on the ground.
Yeah,
and they took the blood and they made pudding out of it, and we ate brains, we ate stomach, intestine. Every piece was demolished.
Wow!
In one way, shape, or form.
That's incredible.
Even took a flamethrower, so to speak, to the head, and then cooked the brain, and then we even ate brain.
Wow,
that's insane.
Nothing wasted. The hooves, the kids play with hooves.
Wow.
Yeah, nice little game that they play on the side of the mountain.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's crazy. So in doing that show, I mean, obviously there's an aspect of just being mentally tough. You just talked about a guy that couldn't handle the fact that this animal was.
And you wouldn't expect that to be part of it, right? Like you go into it, you think we're going to do competitions where it's like competing, see who's going to be the toughest. As soon as you would say
indigenous tribe, I would think it would be more of that.
Right.
Like I get the aspect of doing whatever ceremony or anything like that, but I would think mentally that would wear on me because I know I would have to do like their day in, day out, like let's go hunt for this and let's do that.
Did they lead you to believe that was going to be the case when you went in? Like it
was more so you're showing up, you're going to learn these sports, and you're going to compete against them.
Okay,
there
so
you go.
You didn't really know that you were going to have to live their life.
I had no idea what the hell I was getting into.
Right.
And none of us did. Even when we traveled, we didn't know where we were going. We didn't know if we were staying overnight at a location. Like, hey, we're flying into Brazil. We don't know if we're flying from here to another place. We're flying into Mexico. Are we going to stay here in Mexico? Are we staying in this city?
Do you think it was like scripted from day one, or do you think some of that stuff they were kind of doing flying by the seat of their pants?
They wanted us to have absolutely no idea what the hell we were getting into.
I got you.
Because, the internet's a beautiful thing.
Sure.
And at airports, there's the internet. So they're like, if they know we're staying here, then they can run over to the internet and then they can look up indigenous tribes of this area and kind of figure out
get an idea of what's coming up.
Yeah, totally blind. So
wow.
It was almost like we were picked up, dropped into the tribes, and they're like, we're just going to watch you. That's why it's considered an observational documentary versus a documentary or a reality-based show.
Yeah, I didn't get that at all. That it did not seem like a reality show whenever I was watching it.
Right.
I mean, sure, some of the editing tricks that were done and different things were kind of reality show, but it didn't look like a reality show to me. Whenever I watched it, I was
just being tagged with, I know, and it's different now with Discovery Channel, but just being tagged with that and BBC and all that other stuff, I like from the get-go, I thought it was more going to be observational anyways, is because they want to sit back and like let these things unfold. That way you get something out of it as a viewer and learn something about the tribes and all of that stuff.
Right. And it was definitely raw because I learned after the second tribe, like, hey, I don't know your way of life. So as soon as I get in and I meet the people and find out where I'm staying, I just hold up 2 fingers. There's 2 things I need to know. Of course, they don't speak English, so they're just looking at me. I'm like, 2? You know what 2 is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, okay. I cup one hand, and then I do a motion with the other hand, like eat.
Mm-hmm.
Where do I eat? Where do I get food? Let's establish that. And they're like, oh, and they point to where food may be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, cool. I at least know this realm is where I'm going to get food.
Right.
And I'm like, number 2. And then I would act like I'm pulling my dick out and go, psh,
Yeah.
like I'm peeing
Where do I
in
go to
their
the
living
restroom?
room.
Yeah.
And 1, to break the ice, like, hey, I got a sense of humor.
Right.
And typically the woman of the house is covering her eyes and she's, yeah. And then the house father that I'm staying with is just, oh, and then shows me where to go use the bathroom.
Awesome.
Because that's kind of crucial in settings to where if you just go out to take a piss, you might be pissing
offending
in their crops.
somebody.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't do that around women, or that's our livelihood, and you just pissed it away.
Well, what is it? It's in India. Is it your left or right hand? Like you have to shake with a specific hand because
right?
you wipe with the other.
So you're shaking with right and you wipe with your left.
Left. Yeah.
And there's a couple of times where, because you eat with your hands.
Yeah.
And we're sitting around a table eating rice, and Jason, my dude, just reaches over with his left hand and grabs food, and this woman smacked the shit out of his hand.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh!
Literally.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there cracking up. I'm like, yeah, dude, you hadn't got that lesson yet. I got popped like 4 times last night.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like, yeah, that's not the hand we use here.
I used to be a community director at a apartment that most of our residents were, I would say 90% of them were from India. And so we'd come through and we'd change out air filters and different things. And so we'd come into their apartment. A lot of times we showed up whenever they were eating. And there was this one dude that was just going to town, just hands all in. And I looked at him and I was like, man, do you need a fork or something? He was like, oh, no, it's just tradition. And I was like, I think it was tradition here too until somebody invented the fork.
We got something for that.
I was like, I think some of these things are only tradition until somebody comes up with a better idea.
Yeah.
Like not wiping with your hand, then you kind of change things up. Not saying that we,
Yeah.
Well, speaking of wiping, I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and say it.
We have to.
You got to wipe.
Right.
But in Mongolia, we didn't use toilet paper.
Okay.
But there's this nice river that ran through all the fields. It was beautiful, cold. Man, river rock feels amazing.
Yeah,
I just gotta say it. It gets the job done. It feels good.
Nature's bidet.
I was trying to think of an idea. I'm like, how do I take this back to the States? So you put these river rocks beside the toilet, and it's constantly flowing clean water to clean them off, and then just reach over and grab a nice, cold, smooth rock and just enjoy life. Nature at its finest.
If I was to imagine Jay-Z's bathroom, that would be Jay-Z's bathroom.
Bam. These are my ass rocks right here.
My ass rocks. Nobody touches the ass rocks. And you go in and you think it's just like a hand fountain.
Oh, somebody's playing
in it.
Yeah. Is this your drinking water? What do we do with this? So what do you think was the hardest challenge or the hardest part of the show? Or something that just stands out, because I know you jacked up your finger, you separated your shoulder, if I remember correctly. Like you had some damage done.
But was it more like, was there an emotional, mental time that was the toughest, or was there a physical thing that was the toughest?
It was both. My daughter Amethyst just turned 1 when I left.
Okay.
Oh wow.
And I was gone 14 months. Now I was back here and there, but for the most time I was gone 14 months. 12
That is
tribes.
a long time.
Yeah. I came back
Were you
one
paid
day.
for that?
Very
Just a little bit.
Yes.
Okay.
But considering the level of being a trainer that I was before I left, I was on par for making damn near double.
Ooh.
But it was one of those, when are you ever going to get one of these life experiences?
Exactly.
Again?
Right.
This is something my grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren will be able to watch and be able to go, that's my great-grandpops right there. And he's kicking ass. I have that flowing through me.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
there was a few moments that really affected me to continue to go, because I just sit there and I'm like, shit, I'm here. If I wanted to leave, I couldn't leave. I'm eating maybe 300 calories a day.
What?
We're training 3 to 6 hours a day. Like, this makes no sense.
Yeah, you dropped weight. I mean,
how
you
much
see
weight
it in
did
some
you
of
lose?
the pictures.
Total about 25.
Holy
And
shit.
it wasn't fat.
Whoa.
You know, and just went into it like, hey, and then had parasites and amoebas for 14 months.
Oh.
Even got treated for it. Still got it back next place we went. Had diarrhea for 14 months.
Oh.
And there's so many times I would have to take a shit so bad I would be shaking. And I just didn't know where to go or what to do. So that's why I found out. It's important to find out where do I go use the bathroom.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm about to do it in the middle of the street.
I guess I hadn't thought about that, but that brings up a good point. How did you develop the 2 questions?
Real quick.
Yeah, real quick.
Because there was one we went to, man, and for 3 days I didn't eat. For 3 days. And I'm just going, man, are y'all eating? And the cats that are in the other hut, they're like, oh, man, they're feeding us. Why am I not getting any food?
Right.
So finally, I went and tried to say, I need food. And they're looking at me like, why didn't you ask? Here's some food.
Yeah, here, take it.
Yeah.
So in that culture, they don't eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
You eat when you're hungry.
You go to the woman who's cooking, who's been sitting there all damn day. For some reason, I didn't connect the dots. She's always cooking, but there's never any food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are coming and getting it.
Yeah. Just get it, serve it, walk out. And then another thing is if it sat too long, it'd be completely covered with roaches.
Oh, wow.
Man.
Where was this?
This was in Brazil.
Okay.
Like literally pick up.
Were you in the
food,
rainforest?
The Xingu rainforest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
So right outside of the Amazon.
What competition did they do in Brazil?
This was wrestling.
Okay.
So in that competition, I'm the first Westerner to ever compete in hookah wrestling.
Really?
Wow.
Right.
Did you win?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Dominated.
What's hookah?
So it's a wrestling practice where they start off on their knees. So you spin in a circle and you
Okay.
And then once you launch into each other and lock up, you either win by flipping your opponent over, grabbing the back of their leg, or picking them up. So those are the 3 ways you lose.
Oh,
and
okay.
if you break apart, then it's considered a tie.
Okay.
But the reason of going on the show was to learn the sport and then compete. They never taught us the damn sport. They just kicked our ass every day.
Gotcha.
So it was like, hey, foreigner, beat you.
Yeah.
Beat you again. Beat you again. Like, are you going to
Trial
show
by
me
fire?
how to do this? Beat you again.
Yeah.
Beat you again. I'm like, I'm getting really fucking frustrated right now. This isn't fun.
Yeah.
I'm getting really frustrated right now. And then they're talking trash, and you don't speak their language, but you know they're talking trash.
Yeah. Right.
You're like, shut up and come show me how to do it.
Yeah.
And then let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it never happened.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
They were talking
it
trash.
sucked. And there's so many things, man. Going through the ceremony there was taking piranha teeth and scraping our legs open. And that was
I did see that.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
another rite of passage ceremony that we had to participate in. And that felt like getting a tattoo. So it was tolerable.
Yeah.
And it's from the top
Did it leave
of my
scarring?
thigh. Yeah, I'm still scarred now.
Really? Wow.
And that was 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So it was like start at the top of the thigh and went all the way down to my ankle, all the way around my leg. And it was like, yeah, pain level, maybe a 6. I mean,
Okay.
tattoos, I got quite a few tattoos. I can handle that. It's all
Right.
good. But then they get raw salt and hot chilies.
And they rub it in the
And
wounds.
they rub those together, and then it just lit me up.
Well, yeah.
Oh,
Right.
dude.
So I
Get you
was
primed and ready to go.
Asked
How
the question,
close
like
to the
1
junk
to 10.
was- were those?
Way too close.
Way too close for comfort, right?
Yeah.
It's within 12 inches is too
Yeah.
close when you got hot chilies
Yeah.
and salt and open wounds.
Dreadful.
That's ridiculous.
And the thing is, so it's cut open, and they put that in there. You try to wash it, it just makes it worse because it intensifies the chilies.
Right.
So you go to sleep, and then the scabs form, and then you get up the next day, and then you bend your knees, and it just rips it open. So the whole time we're there after that ceremony, limping around, threw up the first 6 days every day before practice, after practice, didn't eat for 3 days. Had a shaman come in and do a ritual for me where he, maybe about 50-year-old, looks like he's probably 80, hard life.
Yeah.
No clothes, walks in, rolls a long ass tobacco cigarette, just sticks it in the fire, smokes it, starts blowing on my stomach, starts blowing smoke all throughout.
Literally blowing smoke.
And then he starts blowing on my stomach. And then
sucked it out,
sucking on my stomach.
Yeah.
And then blows more smoke
right
in my man region.
Yeah.
And then starts sucking around my belly button.
I got
and
you.
Blowing around my man region. And
Yeah.
I'm so uncomfortable.
That dude was totally
Yeah.
fucking with you, man. They had the biggest laugh about that afterwards.
Hey, look what this dude's doing, and he's sitting there doing it.
He totally believed this was our tradition. Speaking of that, did you experience any, like, I mean, you went into a lot of different cultures. Was there any type of racism that you experienced from any of the people, or like the white dudes from Britain or any of that? Was there any of that happened?
So me being the token black dude on the show,
Right.
of course, race got brought up often.
Okay.
But we don't speak the same language.
Right.
So it was amusing to try to figure out how to communicate back and forth. And
Right.
it's amazing how quick you can learn how to communicate with people through sign language and going over and pointing at things. We were in, Indonesia, speaking with a chief. And in his time, he was actually part of the head shrinking cannibalistic part of the tribe.
Oh, wow.
They recently converted to where they don't kill the rival neighbors
Well, that's
and
good.
shrink their head and eat them as a sign of power.
Right.
In that tribe, it was you kill as many people in war as possible, you shrink their head, you hang their head in your front yard on a stake so people know what kind of badass you are.
Right.
He's part of that culture. So after we were done, I just kind of looked around. I'm like, hey, if you were going to eat any of us, who would you eat?
Oh.
And I'm thinking, he's like, you, dark meat, or you have a lot of meat on your bones.
Yeah.
And he did the smuggest smile, and I'm pretty sure he said, white meat tastes sweet.
Nice.
Done.
That
White meat.
that would be terrifying.
Yeah, that'd be weird. Very terrible. All right, good luck.
Sleep good, guys. Yeah.
So there are places where they didn't know dark people existed. So it was more
For real.
in Mongolia, they've never seen them.
It sounds like South Tulsa.
Pretty much. That's how I feel.
Totally kidding. Where
Went
did you
touched my
say?
hair in Mongolia.
Mongolia.
Just like, is your hair real? And kind of pulled on it, see if it was going to pull out. Just, but it wasn't nothing negative at all.
Sure, they were just
That's just like the
fascinated.
curiosity of a kid. Because I remember when my son saw one of the guys I worked with at the time was African American. He saw it and he just walked in there and he turned around and started giggling, looking at me, and he's like rubbing his skin, like rubbing his own skin, pointing out.
Right on.
Never seen somebody like he's seen my skin, which is brown, but never anybody that dark.
Yeah.
And he was just amused and he wanted to go over and like back in when he was smaller, he would pet people. I was like, you can't pet a grown man's arm. You can't do that.
Yeah,
But yeah, he was just fascinated. Yeah, and that's what it sounds like. Just that fascination.
Totally.
Kids are totally innocent about it, man. They don't have any preconceived notions about, skin color or even like gender or
Nope.
I remember the first time Jay saw like a really manly looking lady and he was like, hey, is that a boy or a girl? And I was like, that's a girl, man. And I was like, but there's a little bit of growing up you got to do before you understand.
Right.
He was just like, okay, it's a girl.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Well, in my world, kids see me and either they love me or hate me. So
Right.
they either think I'm a cartoon character or I'm the scariest damn thing they've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's been
So with the show that ended in 2008. So you ran it in 2007 is when you were doing all your stuff, and then it aired in 2008. And now you're doing this mentor program back at your old school in Bartlesville.
Right on. So yeah, I travel
So
from
now
Tulsa
you're
to
dealing
Bartlesville.
with these kids that you're talking about that are either afraid of you or think you're a cartoon character.
Yeah, and that's a head game right there.
And this is Metamorphosis Tribe that we're talking about.
On.
And I'm really interested to hear about this because you're basically mentoring kids.
All boys.
All boys.
Which is amazing.
Right.
Because I go into the school and they separate boys and girls.
Okay.
Which I'm not sexist at all. I have 2 girls, 2 daughters, beautiful, 8 and 10. I know how to relate with them, but I can't teach a girl how to be a woman.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the baseline is it's an anti-bully program, and at the same time, my job is to build confidence and awareness of themselves, and also to be able to control themselves, control their mental ability, control their physical ability, to be able to absorb all the opportunities that are around them. And I do that through exercise.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's one of those components where people are like, well, how do you do that? When do you feel you're weakest? When you're challenged the most? And kids don't really move that much these days anymore.
Oh,
so
man,
going
that's for sure.
in and having them do different movements, different exercises, getting them to listen to what that voice inside them is telling them. And it's one of those, either they're buying into it or they're not. And a lot of them buy into it until the point where they realize they don't have it in them. But the thing is, they do have it in them. They just haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
So it's my task to try to make it to where you're doing something, the voice inside you is telling you one thing or another. What voice are you listening to? If it's telling you can't do it, stop listening to that damn voice. It's that simple. Turn it off. Stop the chatter. Find a voice, or even make a voice up that's telling you you can do it. And from this point on, that's the voice we're going to amplify. That's what's going to take you to success.
Right.
They just basically hit the point where, like, this is too hard. I quit.
Yeah.
So go in the schools. Right now I have 4 schools, 4th and 5th grade.
How long have you been doing this, by the way?
So actually, as soon as I finished the show, so this is going on 8 years that I go in. And it originally started, they're like, we just want you to come down and teach kids how to do exercise.
Yeah.
And as I was doing the program, I realized that there is so much more I can give these kids.
Yeah.
And how did the anti-bullying aspect tie in? Because, I mean, I'm just trying to get a good feel of it. Anti-bullying is huge to me because I was bullied, and in turn I became a horrible bully.
Right on.
So for me, I know that there is some natural process that kids do go through with trying to determine some sort of hierarchical system.
Right on.
That they naturally try to adopt, but it sounds like you're trying to make that happen in a healthier way. And so how does that tie in?
So the whole basis going in was it's an anti-bully program.
Right.
And I'm looking at how the program is ran, and they have great things in place. But the way I see it is, if you're confident, if I have confidence, I'm not going to allow someone to bully me.
Right.
If I have confidence, I'm not going to be a bully.
Right.
So on the flip
because
side,
it always comes from a place of insecurity.
Exactly. And it was like,
or learned behavior, which was,
and that's what we're really dealing with, how to control yourself. So it's, I was bullied, and then I in turn turned around and became a bully of bullies.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my way of taking on this superhero persona.
Right.
It was like, I'm going to protect the people that can't protect themselves.
Right.
So this is kind of the theory I'm taking into the schools of, this is how you're aware of your body. This is how you're aware of your thoughts. This is how you're aware of your surroundings. Now, how can we take this and make this a better place for the people around you?
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
They really dig it. I'm like, think of yourself as a superhero. What's your superpower? What do you do? What do you stand for?
Yeah.
Are you a villain? Are you a hero? Like, if this was a movie, what character are you playing?
Yeah.
Are you just happy to be that
Can't
extra?
be Batman or Superman going around beating up on civilians.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you can't be Batman or Superman, and you're just happy to be the extra over on the corner.
Yeah, you're standing on the side.
I'm just cheesing and waving and letting everything else happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or I witness something happen, and I'm not being a superhero, and I'm not standing up for the weaker person.
Yeah, and that's something I tell my son too, by the way. We stand up for those that can't stand up for themselves.
Indeed.
And I try and iterate that to him a lot. And there's a quote from Louis C.K., who's one of my favorite comedians. It was in his show where he gave his daughters 2 bowls of ice cream. And his youngest goes, "She got more. That's not fair." And he goes, "Listen, we only look in our neighbor's bowl to make sure that they have something, not to say that they have more."
Love it.
That's it. And try and iterate that to him, because that's one of my fears, that I'll catch him doing something like that, and trying to teach him obviously not to do that and to incorporate a lot of the things that you're talking about. Because if anybody's seen the documentary, I think it's Bully.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Most of those took place in Oklahoma.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, it was hard. It was heartbreaking to watch.
Yeah.
That was hard to watch.
And there's scientific proof that shows if kids have more positive influence in their life, they can change their brain chemistry and actually become different people. So I'm dealing with 4th and 5th grade boys, and there's I believe his name is Louis Schwarzenberg, and he's phenomenal. And he has this quick 7-minute video called Gratitude. It is phenomenal.
Let's get a link to that, and we'll put that in the show notes, and we'll make sure everybody gets a hold of that too.
Yeah.
So we'll get that to you guys.
Yes, it's try to brainwash kids with positive. Brainwash them with positivity about being grateful for everything you have. Not only the clothes you have on, but having a beautiful sky. Even if it's rainy, being able to appreciate the sky. Being able to look at the person beside you and see who that person is.
That silver lining.
And realize they have a story. Their family has a story. Everybody has a story. There's so much to be grateful for.
It's a huge thing that's missing in our society, period. Gratitude.
It's one of those, I'm tired of hearing people complain about how society is and how worthless the kids are. Talk to a 60-year-old dude about our kids today. Nothing positive to say about.
Sure.
They're lazy. They expect everything to be handed to them. They have no idea what the real world is. And I'm starting to shift into that mindset. So instead of complaining about it, I'm trying to do something about it. And by going into the schools and holding kids accountable for their actions, it's really shifting things.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're doing that through Metamorphosis Tribe. Do you have a Facebook or anything like that associated with that?
I have Metamorphosis Tribe Facebook page, and then Brad U. Johnson.
Okay, we'll get that linked up on the show notes also, so that way people can get more information. I know you tried to turn it into a nonprofit. Did that ever happen? Because I know there was some
hitches.
There's some hitches with all that stuff. It's way more complicated than people think.
Indeed. So I got under an umbrella of a nonprofit group, and then that's how I'm operating at this point in time. So a lot of people that I train. So I also have my own training facility, Metamorphosis Tribe, that's in Tulsa, right outside of downtown. So for every client that I train, it sponsors me to work with a kid.
And what's the exact location?
So it is 1211 East Admiral Boulevard.
Okay. So if anybody's in the downtown area and looking for a trainer, Brad is an excellent trainer.
And the spot's grown. I still haven't been down since, because I've went down there when you first got it and just been able to see it grow. I mean, it's looking phenomenal.
I'm trying. And that's where the mental toughness comes into. Because when I first got my facility, it was a blind faith move.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, this is what I want to do. This is what I believe God put me on the earth to do. I'm phenomenal at it, so I'm going to make it happen. And every single person who came through when I first got it, and they seen the location, they seen the condition it was in, and they're like, "Can you get your money back? Because this is not going to work." I'm like, "Man, I'll make things happen."
As soon as I remember I went down there, you didn't have anything in there, and I was looking at it, and just you were telling me what you wanted to do, and I was completely on board with the thought of it, because I know that you can make it happen. Like, I don't know, there's that weird thing where people come in and they start doubting and questioning what your action is. Like, dude, if you're a go-getter, like, why? Just tell them, like, all right, what do you need me to do? What do I need to do to help you make this happen?
Right.
And it's turned into something phenomenal.
I do a lot of startup consulting for startup businesses and different things like that. And one of my first questions always is like, can you make this work? Because, like, I can tell right away by the way they answer that question if they're going to make it work or not.
Right on.
And the majority of people that I talk to are kind of like, well, if I get the capital together, if I, get the right investors, if, everything, all the networking comes together. But the people that make it happen are the ones that you're like, they look at you kind of like, I am going to make this work.
Done. There is no question. I am
Something will happen.
Right.
Somehow it'll all come together. I will make this work. You're here because you may be the missing piece of the puzzle. That's what I'm looking for, is that somebody looking at me and going, as a consultant, you're here because you may be something that I utilize, but I will make this work. Make no mistake.
Right.
You're not the reason this is going to work.
Right.
That's who I want to work with, is people that don't need me, because those are the ones that are going to make it happen. I want to be on that train.
Well, and that's the difference, and you can attest to this, external motivation versus internal motivation. You are extremely internally motivated, as are, I would say, all of us here.
Right.
Like, we're going to make these things happen regardless of what it takes, because we don't need that external motivation, money, whatever it is, to make that happen. That's not necessarily what it's about. And we've done 6 collegiate strongmans together at this point.
Wow. That many?
We did 6 of them. Yeah. And that was with no funding. We didn't go and we didn't have capital or anything like that. We just asked people to donate their time and to help us for this bigger thing. And everybody did. And that's how we got really expensive equipment made.
No doubt.
And tons of great sponsors for all of that. So we've done that before, but that is that internal motivator, because we didn't get paid for it. That was one of the things we talked about. Like, we never got paid to do any of this stuff. We just wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And the last one was the biggest one by far, because we had the firefighters versus
Police
the Tulsa
department.
PD
That was great.
one. And that was awesome. So you've been doing this now for, you said since the show ended, so 2008 till now, so 8 years. Where are you wanting to take this program? What are you wanting it to grow into? What's your vision for it?
And I really see the big picture. I see the benefit of what it's having on kids right now. And I would like to do male and female and bring them together. There's times where I definitely see the benefit of having all boys there, so we can really talk about puberty and thoughts that go through our heads and so forth. And since I've been there, I can relate, and I can't relate as far as girls go.
Yeah.
But bringing them together and challenging them all, because what I see is that whole lack of imagination.
Yeah.
Like, part of what I try to stimulate is, where's your imagination at? We're going to walk through this. We're going to visualize. What do you want in your life? Where do you want to be? And their imagination is so limited.
Oh, sure.
I don't want to just work with boys
Yeah.
and work on their imagination and have short-sighted women. So it's bringing them all together, have a great program to where it has a beautiful balance of physical and mental, and a slight spiritual without adding the religious component.
Yeah.
Is really focus on breathing and just controlling their breathing alone, the box breathing technique. Inhale, hold your inhale.
That mindfulness
exhale.
aspect to it.
Right. And thinking about how you breathe, appreciating that you can breathe, and then go into visioning. Where's your focus? Where's your intent? If more kids can pick up on this and appreciate the things that they have, it's going to be a better place.
Absolutely.
So out of my facility, I want to train half adults, half kids. And
what's your ideal client look like?
so right now it's male and female, and it's typically people that have money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the cheapest cat on the block.
Sure.
And I don't do groups over 8 people.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm
individual,
6, so I've got a smaller facility, but yeah,
Right
I
on.
limit mine to 6.
Yeah.
I don't even do groups.
Yeah.
I stopped.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I used to only do personal one-on-one, and I realized that I have ADD in the worst way, and I need to learn how to utilize it better.
Yeah.
And when I have groups, I can stay focused with watching multiple
See,
people.
I have the opposite. I feel like that I'm not really concentrating on any person. Like I feel like I'm getting kind of like it's too much going on, and I'm afraid that somebody's getting lost in the cracks.
Gotcha.
It's normally like I have a tendency to lose the people that are excelling and doing well. That's the thing
Right,
that I
because
always
they're
feel.
doing well, so you don't have to watch them.
So I don't watch them. So then I start babying the people that aren't doing well, and I feel bad because the people that are really pushing and wanting to do well in these groups aren't getting
Right on.
the most of my attention.
So one of the cool things about some of the training philosophies that Stephen and I both have learned from the PK Gen.
Yeah.
One of the things they were saying is always train at the level your people are on.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a phenomenal athlete that's in there, having it base off of the person that's the lowest of the totem pole, but elevated so that person can still excel.
Gotcha.
So since so many people are in so many different places, I'm able to say you're doing this with this modification.
Right.
You're doing this with this modification, and you're doing this. And I'm so stimulated to watch and see how everybody's reacting and responding. And not only that, watching how they network with each other and how they communicate. And I just really love watching
There
that.
is something, because we've talked a lot about this, that is the kind of the missing link in the mechanism about CrossFit. That created that whole cultish mindset.
I call that
this.
sweat bonding.
Yeah. And that's the one thing that
taking
I can
that
say,
and then using it for something else too would be amazing.
That's the one thing that I can say about that movement that I've just been overwhelmingly pleased to see people.
We need to get
so,
Doug on here, by the way. I know me and you know Doug Decker,
right?
Because he does vertical CrossFit. We've talked about that.
Doubt.
So,
a part of the broader vision of Metamorphosis Tribe is to pull all people together and have them all train together in small groups and bring in professionals from different walks of life to teach them different things. Because I have my thing I'm good at.
Right.
And I'm good at functional training, strongman style, but not with as much weight. And then sprinkling a few new things, natural movement involved with resistance, and added my twist to that. But you come in, you have a certain mindset, and they always get broken down during the process. So the time that you can reflect the best is when you're in that broken state. And behind my facility, I have a great space that I want to create a Zen garden.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's
after you're done being broke down, take 5 to 10 minutes and just go back there and hear the water running and calm yourself down and center and reflect on what you've learned about yourself.
What's crazy is we foam roll at the end of a session. We stretch and then we do breathing techniques. Not all the time, but I try and get them engaged at least in 2 of those things. That resets your parasympathetic nervous system. People don't realize why we do that. Why do we foam roll and do those other things? One, it's helping out the soft tissue. The other thing is actually put your body into a state of recovery. When you go do that breathing technique, you actually reset that. So your body's like, okay, we're done being stressed physically or mentally. And now we re-engage in that recovery process. So you kickstart that quicker from a hormone standpoint if you just do something like that. So people think it's quirky or something like that, and I got to explain the science. It's like we do this for a reason.
Right.
It's because you're going to be better the next time you come in here if we engage in this. Just do this one thing for me.
When I used to do vinyasa yoga, I used to have to tell people why we were doing ohms at the end.
Yeah.
So even with that happening and they're not aware of it, but if they can sit back and go, this is, at what point did you want to stop? At what point did you stop? At what point did you lose your form? Why did you? Were you not focused? Were you not motivated? What's within you that can help you become better next time?
Yeah. So with all of that, we're going to do just a couple quick spitfire questions, and then we're going to wrap it up. And I want to lead with this one, which is what motivates you personally? I know you probably have a couple, but what's a couple motivators for you?
Man, I want to be a true leader to where at my funeral, it's going to be the biggest costume dress up party ever. And all people are going to have permission to do is say the dumb shit that I've done in my life. Yeah. Because I've done so many, not like asinine, run my head through a plate glass window, but I've tried so many businesses and failed. And I always make it to where, where it's entertaining. I'm like, you know what? I failed, but I learned something.
Right.
Next. Next. And when people around me, they're like, how can you be such a positive person whenever you fail so much? Hey, you just keep on living. I'm not going to quit until I die.
Well, and that's any successful people. You hear that, like, they want those failures. Like, they don't want to be 100% right or successful every single time, and they don't learn from that. Right? They get soft. They want to be that.
I don't think that it's even that you want them. It's that they're a necessity. If
you
succeed the first time, every time,
you're done. You're going to get soft.
You have to fail in order to find out what works correctly.
One of the things I found out the hard way is occasionally I set myself up for failure. Mm-hmm. I fail because I think it's too easy.
Right.
So I set myself up to fail subconsciously because this is too easy. It can't be real. This can't be what's happening to me right now because I'm not struggling enough.
Yeah. Right.
And I get stuck in that mindset. So that's something I overcome. But in the long run, just being able to have people reflect back on my life at the end of my life and say, hell of a dude. I'm glad he was on Earth. He affected people in a beneficial way.
We've talked about this too. I mean, the Tony Robbins, 2 needs of the spirit. One is to contribute beyond yourself. And I think most people need that. Whatever it is, they can say that they've contributed something back. So I'll do the next one. What do you think motivates other people? What's the underlying force? Not like money or anything like that, but what motivates most people?
I think in most people, they just want to be happy. And everyone has their own definition of happiness. So whether it be, I got my latte this morning, I got my big title at the workplace this morning, like someone looked at me and winked, You know, it's the little things that can make someone so happy for the rest of their life, and the other person get the same thing and just be depressed.
Yeah.
So I think everybody seeks to have that happiness, so it motivates them to try to have happiness. They just don't know where to find it.
Yeah. I think one of the things too is a lot of times, especially, and you'll know this just from dealing with these kids, most people will do a lot to avoid pain, right? And they'll do very little to maybe gain that happiness. So they're so busy trying to avoid that pain that they forget that they have all these things around them that are making them happy.
Indeed.
That it just kind of consumes that for them.
Right. Overwhelmed with goodness, and they don't even understand what they have.
Exactly. So favorite book?
Wow. Actually, Dr. Seuss.
Really?
I love Dr. Seuss.
Which one? Just anyone?
Yeah.
Just any Dr. Seuss book?
I'm trying to remember. Butter Side Up?
I haven't read that.
Are you serious?
No. Butter Side Up.
Butter Side
I'll look into that.
And it completely addresses racism.
Okay.
Really?
If you want to look at it from that perspective, but it's like, we're Ukes over here. There's Zooks over there. We do our Butter Side Up over here. They do Butter Side Down over there.
Yeah.
So it begins with just a little slingshot.
I have actually read that.
Dude threatens to shoot his slingshot across over to the other side to start a war.
Yeah.
So the next dude comes back with a double slingshot, a double zinger or something like this.
Yeah.
You know how Zeus does it.
Yeah.
And it ends up basically the dude has a fucking atom bomb. And they put everyone down under the ground, and the kid's asking his dad, well, what's going to happen when he drops it? He's like, nobody knows. Over your Butter Side Up or Butter Side Down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hell of a story. Love it.
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, the ones with the stars.
Stars on Dars.
Stars on Dars,
Yes, sir.
right? Yeah, Yertle the Turtle, which is about like just everybody trying to get above everybody else, right? That's crazy.
The one about the stars on Dars, when you reread it, look at the dude that's hustling everybody. Because I actually show that to 5th grade kids.
Really?
I'm like, what is going on here? Who's really being taken advantage of? Everybody.
Yeah.
Who's making out? The dude who's making it the big deal about them having a star on them or not having a star. Yeah. Horton Hears a Who. Love it. Another one I show the kids. 5th grade, they think they're too cool for Seuss.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, just watch it. What is he about?
Watch
he
it.
says,
I love it.
I say what I mean what I say. Yeah. And it's one of those, I made a promise and this is what I'm going to do.
Yep.
He's a solid dude.
Yep. Yeah. So unless you have any other Spitfire questions real quick.
If I want to somehow help you with the Metamorphosis Tribe and the kids program, either financially or I'm interested in volunteering, how do I contribute?
Money's a beautiful thing.
Okay.
And it's not even necessarily money. Equipment would be phenomenal.
And how do I get that to you?
Good question.
Because our listeners, there might be some of them who want to somehow do something, either contributing fiscally or somehow getting some equipment to you. What type of equipment are you looking for? How can they get it to you? What is it that you are looking for?
The equipment that I'm really looking at now is some Kong vaults, some things that they can play with, the parkour style, learning how to get over things efficiently, balance boards, balance beams. I really love ropes. I take ropes out and I find several different ways for them to use it.
Like battle ropes or
battle ropes, right? And I have them do tug of war with it, and then I'll have them exercise with it, learn in proper form.
And battle rope is like $80 on Amazon. Yeah. It's not like a huge investment for a lot of people.
Indeed.
But a few battle ropes would mean the world to.
Indeed.
And that's part of the. I mean, the one of the things that we've talked about with this podcast is, I mean, you're a local person helping the community, and if any of our listeners can contribute to that, to the betterment of our community right here, I mean, that would be a huge deal to do, whether that's donating equipment, time, money, whatever it is. And we'll try and set up some stuff, whether that's like a GoFundMe page, if we can do that, or whatever it is to get you more equipment, money, whatever it is, because what you're doing is phenomenal. And not a lot of people do that, and you're doing this, you're not getting paid for this, you're just donating your time and energy. And I mean, that's a huge
we're only deal. Bringing people on the podcast that we consider people of value for Tulsa,
right on.
And so we're kind of I mean, that's what we're touting, is that these are Tulsa A-lists. So this is an A-list, local A-list type of business, type of person, somebody that's the top of the top.
Game on.
So that's why we ask all the questions, is because we are definitely wanting to make sure that if people want to help you or want to connect with you, that they're able to do that.
Done.
So we will make sure that happens, like I said, whether that's a GoFundMe page or we'll try and direct just traffic to your Facebook page where they can get a hold of you and donate or whatever they need to do. So thanks again so much for doing this first podcast, because I think you're definitely one of the biggest guests we could have gotten for sure on this. So thanks
Not
again.
just size-wise.
Yeah.
Definitely wanted to have you here. Brad Johnson, overall cool guy. Thank you very much for coming.
So Facebook at Metamorphosis
Tribe.
And then Brad U. Johnson. Yeah, and then you can reach us at LocalALists. Yes, Facebook. And we're getting that Instagram and the Twitter and all that stuff set up, so we'll have that hopefully in the show notes also.
Yep, and the website should be live within the next month or so, and get our podcast actually launched.
But we will get the podcast launched by the beginning of November for sure.
Absolutely.
So, this is Steven Morales.
And James Pesh.
Be good.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.